Greetings to the dear educators and ladies and gentlemen. For today, I am here and proud to propose against the motion that as a feminist movement, this house would encourage women to be selfish. Now, before we start ourselves, we should try to define exactly what the motion is all about. It encourages to all the women to have an act of selfishness towards everything and everyone. However, in this case of the feminist movement, it means that women should prioritize their own needs and desires over against everything. Now let's take a look right now at what the condition of the world is currently. Now, around in Indonesia, for example, there are less representations of women in major parties and organizations of economics, politicals, education, and other sectors, which indicates a sign of inequality and gender. Other than that, women have also become the fallen victims of sexual harassment in the likes of sexual abuse, assault, and occasionally early marriage. And the problem itself has stand out that there is an unfairness and vulnerability of women. In the stance here for today, we are okay with women with their acts of being selfish, but we are not okay with women always being pressured and falling to become the victims into the bad desires that this world has. Now let's start off with our burdens of proofs and why and how that this act of selfish is justified. Well, the answer to that is actually pretty simple, and that women actually have their own rights. Yes, women have the rights to defend themselves, whether it would be against any form of abuse like violence, harassment, and even torture, but also for the rights for women to get jobs in every sector of economics, politics, and education so that they could fulfill and complete all of their basic needs in life. If they don't have any actions towards this, they can always be viewed as useless and we become easier victims and fallen prey to sexual harassment itself. And how can it exactly bring more good? Well, selfishness as an act itself can be considered as negative. But think about it again. If women don't have any actions towards everything, well then they would also lose their opportunities in life itself. Yes, they can actually lose their chances on getting a proper job to complete all of their needs in life, and that they are also less resistant to the unimaginable harms that any heartless person would do. So, with a little bit of selfishness, it can actually benefit so that women can be much more dependent and that they would usually rely more on themselves instead of against others and men themselves. Now, how exactly is the status quo anyway? What is going on right now? Well, with the plenty of news you've definitely heard and watched, there are plenty, and I mean plenty of cases of women becoming unfortunate victims of sexual assault. Yes, they have fallen into toxic relationships, often to be abused, but yet they are helpless without any terms of action. Now, I just want to ensure itself that this act of its selfishness is for all the women and that with that act of this, it could help them so that they can get with what they've always needed, an act of equality and protection. Man has always been seen as far more superior. They would always be the ones that would do all of the hard-earned labors so that they can earn well-paid profits to help in their families. But most of that is true, but also incorrect. Women are also hard workers in the families in terms of raising and nurturing a family's future successors. But yet though, if women were to be treated as helpless and that they were not given opportunities to even get a job, how could they even prove themselves to be worthy if they don't have an act of selfishness and why if they would always fall themselves to become the prey of other and negative impacts. That is why today I would propose against this motion. Thank you.